Hi, this is Jedd Hafer at the Love and Logic Institute here with the Doctor of Love and Logic,
Yeah.
Dr. Charles Fay.
Yeah, you know I made that out of a palette. Can you tell?
That thing?
Yeah,
I had
totally
no
made
idea.
that.
It looks really fancy.
I was asking somebody what they thought about our set, and they said, that looks like you made that out of a palette.
Just a really perceptive person.
I did.
It's nicer than any piece of furniture I had in college.
Well, you know, I had furniture in college. Anybody old enough to remember when guys had end tables or dining room tables that were made out of those big spools?
Oh, yeah,
remember
like
those
a
big
big wire
spools? Yeah,
spool.
big wire spool. It was awesome.
and you could sit on a milk crate and you're about the right height to eat your cereal.
That's right. But yeah, I made that.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's like shake and bake. I made it. I helped.
And nobody helped.
Yeah, that's right. So what are we talking about?
Well, there's a piece of business we have to get out of the way right away, because I think last time you said if Love and Logic were a mythical creature,
Yeah.
what mythical creature would Love and Logic be? Was there anything to that?
No.
Okay.
But I really and I'm thinking about what kind of mythical creature it would be, and I'm thinking it would be a unicorn.
Okay.
I think a unicorn, and it would have sparkles around it, and it would have a kittens frolicking around it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's positive.
I'm
Love
sure
and
there's a
Logic-
reason for that.
Love and Logic is positive, and I like unicorns because they're very resourceful. They never get bored.
Yeah.
When they're hanging out, they always have something to do. Ring toss.
Yeah, right.
Ring toss, yeah. So let's get
And
to
they're strong and nice at the same time, because they're like a horse, but they're a unicorn. So they're like Love and Logic. You're strong and you're kind at the same time.
That's absolutely right.
Okay.
Yeah, so we resolved that
We pulled
issue.
that one out.
Yeah.
The real thing I wanted to ask you about is we're trying to raise good human beings. I mean, that's our overall goal. Is I'm trying to raise a thoughtful, kind human being. When my child grows up, if I'm a teacher, if I'm a parent, I'm trying to shape this young person into a kind adult. How do we do that?
I had this image of you're like a potter, and you're trying to shape this child, and then I
Clay
thought
doesn't-
about that movie Ghost.
Oh, that's creepy. Clay also doesn't talk back to you until you don't know anything.
Exactly
At
right.
least it shouldn't.
That is absolutely the target of Love and Logic. It is raising good people, shaping kids into really good people. And but what does that look like? What does it look like to be a good person?
Yeah, what indeed. And I always think that the first thing that comes to my mind when I think Love and Logic is I want my kids to be good decision makers.
Yeah, good at making choices, because, boy, you don't know how to make choices. You got some problems.
Yeah, that's a whole lot of life, is just making choices all day long.
Yeah, making choices, and I'll tell you what, good people have to make a lot of choices, because you know what, good people mess up all the time. Yeah, that's the thing about it. I want a kid who knows that when you make a problem, you got to solve it. I don't want to have this unrealistic weight on my shoulders of having a kid that I feel like has to be perfect. I mean, that's a recipe for a disaster. So when we say good people, we're definitely not talking about perfect people.
Not talking about people who never make mistakes.
The only perfect people I've ever met have been on Facebook.
So you didn't really meet them?
No, not really. But they take vacations and they tell you about everything
And their
that
lives
they're
are perfect.
doing during the day. Their lives are perfect. And I think the pictures they post are actually the photographs that you get. You ever bought a frame and they already have people in there? That's a
those
beautiful
people.
thing, because if you don't have friends, you can.
Well, I believe this. I buy the whole thing. When I see that, I buy the whole thing. I'm like, yes. And I actually believe that they look like the filters that they have applied to their photos.
Yeah,
That they really look like that.
yeah, absolutely.
Even the one with the little bunny ears. I'm like, that's how you really look.
But we want kids that are good. We want kids that understand that the whole issue is not whether you make mistakes, but is how you respond to those mistakes. How do you fix those things?
You fix them, you learn from them, you recover from them.
That's right. It's like I've got a mechanic who's a really good mechanic, and I took my car in there, it was a few years back, had to have the timing belt replaced because somebody told me, which is true, that if I didn't get my timing belt replaced on my Toyota, the engine might blow up.
I have no idea what any of those words mean.
Anyway,
except for Toyota. I knew that word.
I took my Toyota, which by the way has been a fabulous car, and I had the timing belt replaced, and they had to put these tensioners in there that keep the timing belt secure. And
sure, I totally know what that is too.
Okay. And the car ran great for a day, and then it started making this screaming sound. I thought it was the kids in the back seat at first, but it ended
Turns out it was the timing belt.
It was I took it in, and you know what the guy said? He said, "Wow, that's a problem, but we're going to solve that." Wouldn't it be great? Yeah, that's the thing about this. Wouldn't it be great if you raise kids who, when they made a mistake or something went wrong, they said, "That's a problem. We're going to solve that."
Hey, let's fix that.
I mean, this guy has been in business for about 40 years. He's amazing. The only thing I'm worried about is he's not going to live forever. I'm going to have to find somebody else who says, "That's a problem. We're gonna
fix it. We're gonna take
that."
responsibility for it versus saying, "Hey, that's not my fault. That was somebody else." I mean, I think in society we're pretty quick to find somebody else to blame it on.
Yeah, Mr. Wright's German Motors, Arvada, Colorado. I gave him a plug. He deserves it.
Free plug.
He's awesome. And he also works on other foreign cars.
They don't have to be German, like the Toyota, for instance.
It's not German.
Okay.
But Mr. Wright, I took it in there, and he's like, "That's a problem. We're going to figure out what's wrong and fix it." And apparently, one of the parts that they had to put in that was new was defective. And
so it really wasn't his fault.
No, but you know what he did?
Anyway.
He fixed it anyway, and did he charge me extra because he had to do it twice?
No.
Nope. That's called going the
extra mile.
Going the extra mile. See, that's another characteristic of good people, right?
They don't just do the minimum requirement.
Yeah. So how do we teach kids this stuff?
Well, I've heard you say there's these E's in Love and Logic, and the first one is kind of bumming me out, honestly. Because it's example.
Example, yeah.
And that's an awful lot of pressure because it means I have to be a good example.
Yeah.
And at least in front of my kids, I have to behave.
That's right. And
that's going to be a problem.
The problem that I have is with the first E is I've honestly tried that before, just behaving when my kids were around. Mm-hmm. But see, if I do that and I'm not behaving other times, I get in the habit of not behaving other times, and then it slips out when I'm, you know what I'm saying? So it's just easier
you were just joking when you said behave in front of the kids. We really have to behave all the time, most of the time.
Well, that's the goal.
That's the goal. I've heard you say we send out these wireless signals, and if we're if we're not being authentic, they'll pick up on those wireless signals that we don't really mean this stuff we're trying to model for them.
Yeah. If we're like the guy on Batman called Two-Face, and part evil, part it's the kids are going to figure that stuff out, and so much of it is us doing our own work on ourselves. I thought this was supposed to be fun. This
is bumming me out already.
Yeah, I'm getting too serious.
So forget that first E.
Yeah.
No, that's pretty big. But also, it's a human example. It's not a perfect example. It's not a Facebook filter example.
No, it's not. It is. It's the exercise commercials, and I wish I knew the name of the company, but I wanted to buy this product because they had like regular people exercising on their equipment. On the show.
Not like airbrushed sculpted
No,
people.
There's this one manufacturer of really nice exercise equipment that I would never buy anything from because I am not attractive enough.
No,
I watch the commercials and I'm like, man, there is no way that I could be that hot. It's just beyond.
It's even tougher when it's like a beer commercial and they look like that, though.
I know. Have you noticed that?
Nobody who drinks that much beer really
people
looks
are good
like
looking
that.
in beer commercials now too, and they're skinny. I don't know. How do you pull that all together?
I'm not buying it.
I'm not buying it. Okay.
So as an example, it is okay when kids see us mess up and make mistakes.
Yeah. It's devastating for kids to have perfect parents, especially if the parents are actually able to pull it off pretty well. And I have known people who were just, this is going to make you throw up, okay? So be prepared. They were good-looking people. they were athletic, they were smart, and they were also really kind and nice people.
That's the kicker right
That's
there.
wrong, okay? And then they had kids. And these people were not trying to put on a show, but they were just highly competent. I mean, they've been gifted in multiple areas, and how hard is that for kids to live up to that? And
you might have an older sibling. I had this. I had really smart older siblings. And then the teacher just has this automatic expectation. Oh, another one of those smart kids. Not so much.
Yeah. We want to give kids a picture of what it looks like to be a good person. And I just wrote something and talked about this idea of modeling doing the daily. TM. Okay. Because I came up with it. Okay,
we just trademarked that.
Yeah,
it's totally going to hold up in court. Absolutely.
That is hilarious.
Solid.
So, but the concept is huge. It's doing the daily, and I think about my grandparents, my parents. They did the daily, and what the daily is it's not that exciting, and it's fraught with imperfections, and it's called getting up, making mistakes, fixing the mistakes to the best of your ability.
Taking care of your responsibilities.
Taking care of your responsibilities. It's not real attractive, but those are the heroes.
Absolutely.
I mean, the heroes in life are the people that do the daily. They get up and maybe they work 2 jobs or 3 jobs. And, you know, a lot of times they aren't in real good shape because maybe they just don't have the time to do it because they've got, you know, a lot of responsibilities. And
they haven't put a lot of effort into what the world says this is what you need to look like to be successful.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
But, as you say, though, those are the heroes. Even though there's not going to be like there's going to be a movie of the week about them. They're probably not going to be, you know, celebrated in the media.
Right. They're probably not going to be.
That's a life that is heroic.
It is truly heroic, and it's because there are a lot of self-sacrifice in that.
And there's a lot of putting others before yourself.
I keep ruining
I know
this.
we're bumming everybody out.
Okay, let's.
There's another E though. Maybe there's hope with this other E.
Oh, now this other E is the one that I am good at, and I'm gonna brag about this because I am the most humble person you'll ever meet. Experience making mistakes and experiencing the consequences.
Oh, man. You are awesome at that. You're right.
I am so good at that. This weekend was a mess. This weekend was a mess. We had sports. My son. During the break between the 2 games of the tournament, I got us lost, and I got onto the highway, and there was no exit where we were going to get back where we were going, and it was so dumb. And then, well, anyway, it was pretty sad.
So you allowed your son, who's a heck of a baseball player, right? You allowed him to see this is what making a mistake and experiencing the consequences looks like.
Yeah.
So you gave him a gift.
I did, and I'd like to say I did it on purpose, but I was just a mess. You ever have times like that? I'm talking to you out there. He never does. So, but again, it circles back to the idea that struggles and mistakes are gold in so many ways.
And we're good at those. I mean, that's an easy one. That first E was harder. This one, you're right. This one's a lot less pressure. I can make mistakes.
I think it takes the pressure off big time for parents, though, you know, hoping for kids to make mistakes. Because, you know, if you wake up in the morning and think, man, I'm going to be happy today if my kids can just get it together, you know? If we have a smooth day, I'm going to be happy. That's setting yourself up for
disappointment.
It is. Or an ulcer. But how about if you wake up in the morning and say, oh man, wouldn't it be great if I made some mistakes so my kids could see me make them, and my kids made some mistakes and then they could learn from them. Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, we both make some affordable mistakes and come out wiser and or stronger on the other end of those.
Yeah, so good people, do they make mistakes?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Actually, good people, some people would argue that good people make more mistakes than, you know, sometimes they're less.
Yeah, if you're walking around pointing at yourself saying, look at me, how mistake-free I am, that sounds like something that's going to happen right before you come crashing down.
Yeah.
Something about before a fall.
Yeah, I just had a tragic thought. I thought, is saying that Is talking about raising good kids a form of microaggression? I mean, seriously, because then some people, if they were like not
someone.
behaving so good, would feel bad.
And they shouldn't. They shouldn't, because we're all human.
Right. Right.
I can prove it. I can prove it right now. Everybody who's watching this.
The question, though, for all of us is even mentioning the word microaggression a form of microaggression?
It might be.
It could be. Okay.
Can I prove it real fast? This is a show that we're all human. Everybody's done this. Everybody has gone to cook a frozen pizza or a Swanson Hungry Man turkey pot pie. I love those, man.
That's a mistake. No. Okay.
It could be an affordable mistake. But then you forget how long. You go, oh, how long was I supposed to cook that? And you have to dig into the trash or the recycle to get the box like a fool. I'm the only one? Everybody's done that.
Oh, you've forgotten how long to... I wasn't paying attention to you for a second. I was thinking about something else.
That's fine. That happens.
Yeah, it was...
I think we all do stuff like that. Yeah. And it's, you can laugh at yourself. I remember you saying something about sometimes you didn't even witness the mistakes that your dad made, but he had this cool trick.
Oh, yeah.
About how to teach you about the mistake he made.
He would talk with my mom about the mistakes he made. He'd say, "Hey, Shirley, guess what I learned today?" It was just like a 50s sitcom, that the guy always came home, "Hey, honey, guess what?"
And didn't he kind of whisper so you guys would lean in and pay attention?
Exactly. So he'd say, "Guess what I learned today?" We all lean in. He'd say, "What now, Jim?" And he'd say things like, "Oh, well, I was giving a presentation and I was using this wireless microphone. And I learned that if you leave that on and go into the bathroom, the audience can still hear what's going on. Those things broadcast all the way through the wall. Those things, I learned that. It was always, I learned that."
Talk about humility, too. That would be a moment of humility for sure.
Yeah. I had a moment of humility in 7th grade.
What happened?
I mean, it was bad.
Did someone microaggress you?
It wasn't invented yet.
Okay, thank goodness.
Yeah, but I mean, this is going to date me, but there's this guy named John Travolta. I mean, he's still around, everything.
Oh, sure.
And he had this movie, and it was like a, Saturday Night, Fever or something?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, disco thing.
Big hair.
And I had some of those pants. Yeah, they were pretty, and I was getting a little bit bigger. I was growing, and those white pants were getting a little tight. And
I'm afraid I know where this is
I think my mom bleached them, and she used too much bleach, because you know what bleach does.
Does it weaken the fabric?
I think it weakens the fabric. And I leaned over, and those babies ripped. At school.
Tight white disco pants.
Disco pants, they ripped. I tried to pull my silk shirt out to cover it. It wasn't quite long enough. I made it through the day skirting, around the walls, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And it was really, really embarrassing.
That's a lesson in humility.
It was. Now, here's the good news. I'd had plenty of lessons in humility before that happened, so I was able to cope. Yeah. But think about it very seriously. Okay, the fun part is done. Let's talk about serious stuff. If our kids don't have some mistakes that they have to cope with when they're younger, I mean, those are going to come along.
Sure.
Right? And kids that just can't handle it, if they haven't been allowed to make those mistakes, they haven't had that gift, and then something comes up that is really big. Maybe they get fired from a job. I mean, we're talking big stuff. Or they make a mistake in a relationship and it breaks up, or something. It's really big stuff that's really painful. How in the world do we cope with that stuff if we haven't had lots and lots of little experiences with mistakes leading up to that?
Just like anything else, if you haven't had practice, you're not going to be good at it. You're not going to have the skills yet.
Right. And so we're worried about a lot of kids, very concerned, because they just aren't making enough mistakes. And when they do, when the timer comes up for those, it can be pretty devastating.
Yeah, I need to have enough setbacks that I've developed some coping mechanisms and just some inner strength to get beyond those setbacks. It's one of the reasons, I don't want to get on a tangent, but it's one of the reasons I worry about kids who play video games all day long.
Yeah.
In the video game, there's kind of no consequence in many cases. Like, you do something that would be a really tragic mistake.
Yeah.
And you just, reset, you're back, you get a new man, you get a new person, and it doesn't it doesn't show sometimes the profoundness of some of our mistakes.
I mean, my parents thought Wile E. Coyote was bad.
Oh yeah, because
Remember that Roadrunner?
He's always falling down the canyon and he's fine.
Going to the Acme, TNT factory and trying to blow up the Roadrunner, and he was always, toasted, but he'd be
real dynamite just doesn't just turn your face all sooty like that.
But,
it would hurt you more.
But it's nothing in comparison to the mythological experience that kids have when they're playing those video games, and they're so realistic and so immersed in it.
If an anvil or a safe really falls on your head, that's gonna hurt. I hear that's the case.
Yeah, exactly. So I worry about that as well. So the third E11 logic is what?
It's really empathy.
Empathy.
And what does that have to do with raising a good human being?
Well, good human beings, and what? I guess maybe we should define that more precisely. People who yearn to be good.
There you go. They yearn to be a caring and kind and decent
they
human
desire that, and they, are usually not real happy with where they're at. They're not completely satisfied. They're like,
they don't put their feet up and say, I have arrived.
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. No, they're like, I wish I could be better. I really wish I could. Yeah, so the really people who desire to be good, they have one characteristic that is just iconic. And that was a big word, iconic, and that is that they don't blame other people for their problems. You notice that?
Yeah, they take responsibility.
They take responsibility for their problems, whereas people who it's not on their radar. They just don't have that desire. They're constantly looking outside of themselves. So and so did this, or I did this because my boss, he's not fair, and that's why I got fired. And they never grow. Because they're always blaming somebody else. So how does that apply with empathy? Well, Jedd, if I berate you over something like you made a prop, for like a set, and I secretly think that it was a mistake, and
you hurt my feelings,
and I'm just kind of nasty about it. What does that allow me to do, or allow you to do? I should say.
I'll focus on you. And the fact that you're mean.
My prop was good, and you're just a jerk, right?
The problem is you.
Yeah, the problem is you. See, when we use anger, or we use guilt, or we whine. Have you ever met a parent who whined to the kids?
Never.
Yeah, after all I do for you, you don't know the kind of sacrifices I've made. Oh, man, is that annoying.
And then their kids whining, and they go, stop
whining about that.
Where did you learn that?
Yeah, see,
I've been guilty of
all of that stuff allows the kid to blame us for the problem, blame us for the mistake. It's an easy target. And as a result, it's pretty easy for them to get in the habit. A habit of always looking for something outside of yourself to blame the problems on.
Empathy on your part as the adult is going to help me, the kid, own those problems more and be more responsible. If it's wrath and anger on your part as you're trying to hold me accountable, I'm going to focus on you and you're a jerk. Would there also be a part of the first E, that example thing? If I see you, I used to think this is how you get kids to be empathetic and care about other people.
Yeah.
You kind of like grab them by the shirt and go, hey, be empathetic and care about other people. And
that
didn't work.
Bully them into being empathetic.
Yeah, and it turns out that when they watch me caring about other people and being empathetic, that's really powerful in terms of them learning that. And if I get an empathetic kid, that kid's not going to want to be mean to other people, hurt other people.
Yeah.
Do a lot of those things that the person on the quest to be a good person wouldn't do.
Could you imagine what would happen if we could just increasing the level of empathy in the population by even just 10%? Can you imagine what would happen?
I know crime would go down.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And all kinds of bad things would go down. Like
and
crazy.
Good things would go up,
yes,
right?
They would.
And is that attainable? I mean, a 10% increase. I mean, what percentage of parents out there in the world do you think really are open to maybe changing some things about how they parent, particularly when it's simple. And, it's way more than 10%. I mean, maybe I'm optimistic, but I think it's way more than 10%.
Are willing to be more intentional about
Yeah.
really conveying this idea of empathy.
Yeah, and hey, go and talk to people about this. I mean, go and talk to friends. You don't even have to mention love and logic. Don't mention love and logic. Talk to them about, hey, how important is this empathy? Because we could make them dents in the problems we have.
I'd love
There's
to
still
make some
hope.
dents in those problems.
Yeah.
Honestly, and it's
And
true.
that's not just unicorns jumping over rainbows. That
Right.
I think that's doable.
This is a real thing.
Yeah.
I think that if just by being more intentional about it,
Yeah.
it's going to make a huge difference. We have parents come all the time and they're worried, am I being a good parent? Am I raising a good kid?
Yeah.
And often I say this to them, and I mean it sincerely. Just the fact that you care that much about doing a good job and that you're trying to do some intentional things,
Yeah.
that is going to really, really make you better at this than if you didn't do that.
Yeah, yeah. Empathy is such a gift that we give ourselves. It's just a real blessing.
It sure is. It's been a big deal for me.
Yeah.
When I've had to deliver bad news to people, if I could have empathy there instead of kind of I told you so lecturing kind of a mentality, makes a world of difference in how they hear it.
Yeah, yeah. So let's circle back and talk about raising good people. Is it important? Yeah, of course, right? Yeah, that's all of love and logic.
We could use a few more good people.
Yeah. So then we'll close with this question: what's more important, raising somebody who is loving and empathetic and honest and all those other good traits and knows how to solve problems, or is it more important that they know what's going to be on the statewide test?
That sounds like a rhetorical question.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I say about that? Who needs rhetorical questions?
Yeah, and what I say about that is who needs the statewide test? Okay, the emails are coming in
We've
now.
gotten in trouble. That's a good time to wrap it up. Huh?
That may have been a mistake, but have a great day and try to make as many affordable ones as you can. It'll be a blessing to your kids.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Hit us up at loveandlogic.com. We love to hear from you.
Yep. Take care.